Terror Strike, the early prototype of Left 4 Dead, the Counter-Strike mod made by Turtle Rock where you had to survive against zombies and other such threats. It turned out to be a success within Valve, and later on it became a full-fledged game and sort of franchise. And there are a lot of mods out there for Left 4 Dead 2 that try to bring back this feeling that Terror Strike would have brought. So using different things like Counter-Strike source weapons or models, sound effects, everything of the sort. One such mod pack is the one that I'm going to be reviewing here. Terror Strike Source, Conversion Collection by CubeX. It's an overhaul mod, a total conversion, sort of like the definitive Romero mod pack. And it affects all the base campaigns for Left 4 Dead 2, along with any gameplay in custom campaigns. It's primarily made for single player or co-op. And it's pretty cool. In some ways, it's a little bit of a stripped-down version of Left 4 Dead 2, but it also spices things up in a way that makes it feel fresh and memorable. So I'm going to dive into Terror Strike Source, what I liked about it, and overall how it feels compared to the base Left 4 Dead 2 experience.
The subway can take us straight to Mercy Hospital. Might not be a bad idea to get off the street. I'm reloading.
So Terror Strike Source takes a lot of cues from the original concepts of Left 4 Dead, prototypes of them. You're playing as Counter-Strike source-inspired survivors. You're using weapons that come mostly from Counter-Strike Online 2. You have a voice filter that sounds like the bots from Counter-Strike Source. When you kill a special infected, it'll play the enemy down sound effect, and so on. The music definitely has that early 2000s, mid-2000s vibe to it. It plays a lot like a source mod, which I'd say is a compliment. If you've ever played any of those Counter-Strike zombie mods, this brings back memories of it, although this is definitely much more polished because it's building off an established zombie-based experience. This also goes for at least the designs and concepts of the infected as well. They more or less use the Left 4 Dead 1 models, but a big difference is that they use the Half-Life headcrab zombie sounds. All of them do, that is. The special infected use a lot of their beta sounds. So the jockey sounds more monkey-like, the tank has some beta attack sounds, and there are other features brought back from the beta. It isn't a full-on beta mod, but it tries to draw from cut content of Left 4 Dead, stuff that might have come from the earlier era. This also means that it extends to some of the weapons as well. So, one thing you're going to immediately notice that there are no melee weapons in this mod. Not the chainsaw, not the baseball bat, not even the CSS knife. You're limited to the pistol, the dual pistols, and the deagle. Fortunately, they play pretty well. The pistols get a buff, the deagle's still as good as ever. The regular guns are pretty varied overall. You get plenty of reserve ammo on tap, your HUD is simplified, but you can still keep track of what you're carrying. The guns use, again, Counter-Strike Online 2 models, but they also include some skins and such from that game. They aren't anything fancy, but it is kind of neat to see some variety in how they look. They play pretty similarly overall. A nice change that I liked is that the M60 is the M249 and it can be reloaded. You carry additional ammo on backup. You can't refill it, but it does have a longer lasting experience. You can use it for a decent chunk of a campaign. And overall, I found it to be a pretty viable weapon, especially in finales. A lot of fun to use. The grenade launcher's as good as ever. And the usual assortment of weapons, the pipe bomb, the Molotov, the boomer bile are all there. I'd say that it isn't just about a cosmetic change. It does enough on its own to give Left 4 Dead 2 a unique feeling. Sort of like what if someone went all in on turning Counter-Strike into a zombie mod.
Hands up! Don't stop, people!
I tried the mod on a few difficulties and I generally found it to be pretty fair across the board. I played Precinct 84 on hard, No Mercy on normal, and the passing on expert, and I pretty much got through all of them. I needed a couple restarts on the passing, but otherwise, they ended up playing well. The weapons, the infected, they're pretty balanced overall. I think it helps you have more ammo on backup, and that your backup weapons, like the pistols, are buffed. And the deagle's about the same as ever, so again, very useful. The bots are also smarter. It comes with an improved bot mod, and this means that they're a lot more reliable. They don't just stomp levels and completely take over for you, but they're much more competent. They'll seek out gas cans in the passing's finale. They'll use throwables. They'll give you different items outside of just pills or adrenaline. They're pretty reliable overall, and I liked having them around. They were good to have on hand. They didn't feel like burdens who would just die very easily, like unfortunately in the Definitive Romero mod pack, which is otherwise really good. Some other changes that the mod makes are that some infected have different designs, like the Charger having this Riot Cop design. Some quality of life additions are added, like prop fixes. Some of the aesthetic aspects, like skyboxes, use their Counter-Strike Source or Half-Life 2 equivalents to get the feeling of that era down. Guns have recoil to add an extra layer of difficulty, and it is pretty fun. It's not an overwhelming sense of difficulty, but it forces you to play smart. You still have to take some care with your aim. And what also helps is that there's headshot feedback. So if you land a headshot, it'll make a nice crunchy sound, and there'll be some appropriate head splattering going on. The design of the menu overall has been changed too. It's much simpler. There's a Terror Strike logo, and the overall layout of the menu is just one page instead of scrolling through like mutations and verses and so on. I found it to be pretty accessible, and overall it was pretty straightforward to play around with. I liked the changes, I liked the additions. Honestly, this is fun. It doesn't completely overhaul the game. It doesn't feel like a totally new experience. It isn't like the New Old or the Definitive Romero mod pack or other stuff of that sort. Not Desperation Redux or Nightmare. This is sort of a step forward without, like, completely leaping out of the bounds of Left 4 Dead, if that makes sense. This plays within the sandbox that Left 4 Dead 2 created. It just introduces some new toys to it, removes some other ones, and reworks some existing ones. One thing about the difficulty is that you only get one incapacitation before going gray. If you go down after that, you die. Though, honestly, that isn't too much of a problem. Again, having competent bots and playing things smartly means that generally I was able to get through most levels. I mean, it doesn't guarantee that every run you have will be smooth, but it's balanced in a way where even if you die, it still feels fair. And sometimes that's all you can ask for from a mod pack. If I feel like a death was my fault, I'm less likely to be frustrated about it. I'd say it's worth a shot. And it helps that it plays well in solo, so you don't necessarily need a bunch of friends to play it. Though I'd imagine it's still a lot of fun that way. You can find it on the Steam Workshop. Again, there are about 136 add-ons you download, but I didn't have any issues with it. Didn't have any crashes or anything to report. Everything played pretty well. I would give it a recommendation. I'd say it's worth checking out. Different features play well, and honestly, it's a fun mod. It feels like it was tested well, and everything was chosen for a specific reason. I liked it. I mean, if I had a nitpick, I'd say I'm not sure if the Nightmare pump shotgun is the best choice. Well, I guess it kind of works. Like, it is basically the Left 4 Dead 1 shotgun with some slight changes, so each to their own. In any case, it's just a matter of preference. It's a great mod pack. I had fun, and everything plays well together, so what else could you really ask for? Thank you all for watching. Hope you give the Terror Strike Source Conversion mod pack a shot. Take care.